Hey everyone, Erin from the Impatient Gardener here, and today we're going to do something I don't think I've ever done in a video before, which is planting a spring container. I don't generally do a lot of spring containers because our springs are so late and so cold here that usually by the time I do one and can get my hands on plants, it's just a few weeks until we're planting up summer containers because it's such a condensed season for us. But this year I actually had to make a spring container for a project I was working on for a company, and I have been enjoying it so much that I thought, why don't I do more of these? Because it's just, there's very little color here. Things are just starting to pop up, and it is so lovely to have something pretty to look at. So I thought, let's do the urn. This is probably the container that we see when we're in the house the most because it's right outside our kitchen window and we walk by it all the time and we drive by it. So this is the perfect container for something that we're going to enjoy for a few weeks here. The other reason why I've sort of stayed away from doing a lot of spring containers is that honestly, you guys know how expensive it is to put together a container, and it just seems like a little bit of a waste. But the good news is that I'm actually doing this on a bit of a shoestring because we're going to be reusing a lot of things that I had used we're going to be reusing one thing, but I'll tell you about everything else that's happening. So I'm not going to tell you how to plant a container because you guys know it, but I just thought you might like to see how I pull this together on kind of a shoestring. So I've already filled up my urn. What I did was I put in fresh soil now. I used some really junky soil to put a winter container in here, winter display together. It was just kind of to hold sticks in more than anything else. So I've removed that soil. We're using it elsewhere in the garden, and I've put in fresh soil along with some biochar that this will be good for summer then too. I did not put in any fertilizer or anything because these plants are going to be in here long enough to even need it. They're going to live on what they have right now, and then they're going to be out of here quick. So I think the hardest part about spring containers is getting height because most of the typical spring annuals that we look for are very short. So I am going to be reusing the fantail willow that I used actually in this container for winter, and it still looks great. By the way, I sometimes save these from season to season so that I can reuse them the following year. But I'm just going to plop these in more or less the center, and I may have to adjust them later. But just to get a little bit of height in this container because otherwise it's going to be very short. Next up I have some lettuce. I actually started this inside quite a while ago for the other container. It wasn't ready in time to do that container, so I have it now. I don't think I'll use all of this, and the rest I'll put in the vegetable garden, but I am going to use this one that's looking a little rough. This is a romaine type. The whole tray fell off a shelf in the greenhouse the other day, so everything looks a little beaten and battered. And I'm definitely going to use this roughly red one as well because I think that's really cool, and we'll see what else I put in there. But we're going to work these in, and then I think we'll put in the flowers around these. Next up, I have this beautiful tray of pansies. I actually sort of have been liking violas more than pansies lately, but this was $18 for this whole tray, and the violas were $4 for a 4-inch pot. So pansies it was. I sort of made my own mixed tray because I'm that person at the garden center. And this one is so pretty. I got mostly this. This is called Matrix Beaconsfield, and it's really, really beautiful. If you can see those pretty. And these are these tiny little guys, and they just tuck in so easily. So that's the goal here. Is I'm just going to tuck these everywhere. I decided it needed a few more sticks, especially like straight up the middle, because when I walked away I noticed I had a hallway. This is not the most creative spring planting you've ever seen. Honestly, it's difficult to get creative around here because it's very hard to find spring blooming plants because a lot of people just don't do containers, so the garden centers don't carry a ton of them. But what it is some color, and it's some interest, and it's something that we'll enjoy for a month now, because that's how long it's going to be before we're thinking about planting up summer containers. That generally doesn't happen until the very end of May or typically early June. So we've got a whole month left to go to enjoy these, and I think it's really cute. And for $9, because I used half a flat of pansies and some plants grown from seed and some sticks I already had, I think it's a pretty good display. So this is perhaps not a video about how to make a spring container, but to encourage you to find a way to make one if you haven't, because I think it's totally worth it to have a little bit of color. All right, I hope you're having a great day in your garden, and we'll see you soon.